Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Mostly Low Budget Movie Reviews. I am your host, Clarence. Thank you for tuning in. In today's episode, I have a movie that is currently trending #1 on Netflix, and it's a pretty big one. It's Guillermo del Toro's version of Frankenstein. Now, besides directing this, he also wrote the screenplay, but it is based on Mary Shelley's version of the tale. It has a pretty good cast, or strong cast, I should say. Oscar Isaac, Christoph Waltz, Mia Goth, just to name a few off the top of my head. And I'm sure you are familiar with the story. I mean, it's been told, millions of times. So this will be all about the execution of Del Toro's vision. Besides the 1931 original, which, for me, I saw that, obviously, decades ago. I think Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where Robert De Niro actually plays the creature, it reviewed poorly, but actually I liked that adaptation of the story. So what did Del Toro bring to this? Now, we start out with a Danish ship stuck in the ice. They see an explosion off in the distance and find a man badly injured, but they also hear a monstrous scream. Spoiler free, won't get into any of that. Now, they bring him aboard and, they're helping him, and he explains they should just leave him on the ice due to his actions. The captain wants to hear the story. So we get into Victor Frankenstein's tale. Now, I won't go too deep into this, but we get to see him as a young boy and what drove him in his obsession to defeat death. This leads to the creation of, the monster. And that's, that's actually where I'll stop, because from there we see that play out, and at some point the creature confronts Victor and the captain, and he has a chance to tell his story, which starts part 2, the creature's tale. So what did the pros think? Now, they came in at an 86% on 299 reviews, with the audience at 95% on over 100 ratings on the Rotten scale. But what did I think? Well, let's start with the positives. The visuals looks fantastic. Del Toro has always had a way of making the most barren, desolate, ugly environments look really good. There's a little bit of CGI, but it's mostly all practical effects, and, they're some of the best I've seen. The action is brutal and violent, which actually fits the mood of this. The performances were equally as good for the most part, but let's get to the story. Now, I don't recall them starting Victor's story as a child and really giving us the reason for his passion and fascination with death. Part 1, the focus is all about him and what he went through. However, the story really took off for me when they get to part 2. Again, I don't think we've seen the feelings, the emotions of the creature experience of the way that he told the story here. In his words, and he's speaking just as eloquently as Victor speaking. They do an excellent job of drawing you in, and by the end, you really feel that loneliness and pain from the creature, and you have some mixed emotions about Victor Frankenstein as well. It does run a little bit long, but I never got bored with it. I do have a few nitpicks here and there, one of them being Mia Goth. Now, she didn't do bad or anything, so let me start by saying that. I like her a lot. I like her in mostly everything she does. Infinity Pool, if you haven't seen that, Infinity Pool is excellent, but let me stop. Let me get back on track here. Her take on this particular character, though, was the only one to me that felt just a little bit out of place. Again, she does a good job, but that's not on her. This is just the way that, they wrote the character. So wasn't entirely sure about it. I'll need to rewatch this one again to see exactly how I feel. But even with the almost 2.5 hour runtime, the ending did feel a little bit rushed to me. I mean, I wanted to see a little bit more of the pursuit between Victor and the creature. That's probably the one thing I would have added, maybe another little layer to that. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this one. This is really good. I would put this one right at an 87% to stay consistent on the Rotten scale. I wish I could have caught this one in the theaters on the really big screen. It would have looked so much better and, sounded better too with that, surround sound. Now, if you're into the epic classic tales, you can't go wrong with this one. I will say It is long though, so if you don't have 2.5 hours, it's probably not something you want to start and stop. 2.5 hours to me, you know, I'm a movie person, so 2.5 hours to me really isn't that long, but I do recognize, you know, people got busy schedules, and to set aside 2.5 hours to watch a movie might be a little long. But if you're going to break it up, this is just my little 2 cents here, I would watch Victor's Tale and then stop there if you don't think you're going to be able to watch the whole thing. When The Creature's Tale starts, that's when you want to pause or go do whatever else you got to do. Then pick up with The Creature's Tale. You don't want to stop in the middle of anybody's tale or anybody's story when they're doing that. But yeah, Del Toro's really in his bag on this one, so I do see the hype, and it's deserved. This is a really well-made, well-put-together, and a little bit of a different spin on the story. It's not, obviously, like I said, it's based on Mary Shelley's, but it's not entirely strict to her version of the book. So definitely check this one out. A must-see, in my opinion. With that being said, I'll close it out right here. If this is your first time, don't make it your last. This has been a Podbean production, mostly low-budget movie reviews with Clarence. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. And I appreciate those that have been checking out low-budget movie reviews with Clarence, the YouTube channel. I've gotten a lot of activity over there, and I greatly appreciate you guys going over there and checking that out. Again, you will get condensed reviews with videos and visuals, and you also get some different reviews that you won't get here on the podcast. So you definitely want to be subscribed and checking out both. And again, greatly appreciate you guys and the attention that I get. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Peace.